back to this big video that I've been obsessed with. The Dems put this video out last week. I talked about it a little yesterday. This idea that somehow they're telling people don't disobey orders. Alex, you are the legal person on this panel. I want to play for you. And everyone on the right went nuts. Some of the folks on the left said, I can't believe they're not saying anything. Bill Maher, over the weekend, he called it out. Let me show you what he said.
Did you see the thing about the 6 Democrats who are all military service and intelligence work in their background said, look, you don't have to follow orders? I don't know about that. Now, I understand what they mean, because this thing with Venezuela is not legal. But what do you think about telling people in the armed services you don't have to follow orders? Now, Trump, of course, went ballistic and said, George Washington would have hung them. Sedition, death. You know, he goes right to that, and then today he walked it back. I didn't mean death. You said death.
Yeah. And meanwhile, those lawmakers have to reach out to the U.S. Capitol Police, the House Sergeant at Arms, because they're getting death threats.
All right, Alex Swoyer, give me the legal analysis here. Is Trump, I actually don't, I mean, what he did do was tell people what the penalties for those crimes were. But where do you come down on what the line is? Because I felt like this was clearly pushing people to question lawful orders.
Yes. So to the top line is military members, service members can be prosecuted for ignoring orders, right? So that is a big red flag. Let's say you have some service members who are sympathetic to the political leanings of these lawmakers, and they're sitting there being told you don't have to follow illegal orders, suggesting the undertone, they can't name one, but the undertone is these Venezuelan drug boat attacks. And then obviously there's also questions about the National Guard dispatched in various cities, that sort of thing. So they're basically saying, you don't have to follow his agenda. That's wrong. They can lose their, I don't have to tell you, Sean, they can lose all kinds of benefits. They can be criminally prosecuted. So many problems from this. This is negligent leadership, to say the least, okay, from these Democratic lawmakers. A few items that I'd like to mention is, I don't know, do we really want Article 3 deciding Article 2 powers in terms of what is legal and what is not? As Commander-in-Chief, does the president have the right to order these attacks in international waters? I think some judges would say yes. So here we are. We're going to have, that's basically where this push is going. Is this going to all be caught up in, are we going to have a Judge Boasberg deciding what the president can and cannot do with the military? I think it's problematic. We already know the Supreme Court is weighing right now whether the National Guard to Chicago is lawful. And there's been many lower courts that have taken rulings so far on whether or not they can go to D.C., Portland, LA, that sort of thing. So right now there's a clash between this Article 2 authority and the Article 3. I think we're going to have to watch that. It's kind of dangerous in my opinion. My other thing I'll just note, this isn't really, legal, but it's observant, is they do not like the word sedition, but they love the word insurrection. So pretty much the same thing, right? Sedition is an insurrection. It is a rebellion. So I just had to their little play on words always gets me.
That's awesome, because you know what? It's funny. You guys are so bringing it today, because they have no problem saying January 6th was an insurrection. Again, nobody actually was charged with insurrection. But when the president accuses them of sedition, that's clearly over the line. But Chris, here's the thing that
not okay.
No, I'm glad you brought this up, because again, it's all about language. They don't mind using certain words, but then when you use them on them, it's, oh my God, how dare you? Just for the record, I am going to steal this and take credit myself. So I'm using this video to say that Alex Swoyer gave me the idea when I steal it going forward. But Chris, here's the thing that I'm taking from Alex's analysis. She said, here's what judges may do, here's what they may not do. Okay, right. That's the point, though, is that so far the president hasn't done anything that a judge hasn't given him permission to do. Okay, so that's called the law. That's called our system of justice. The courts can weigh in, but they can say yes or they can say no, and then it's either a go or no go. But for these guys to tell people you don't have to obey an order, and you're thinking of all these petty officers and enlisted folks that are now thinking to themselves, oh, I didn't realize I didn't have to obey all these orders. I'll just decide which ones I want.
What they hate, of course, is that this commander-in-chief and this secretary of war are seeing record high recruitment, as you know, Sean, in every branch. Young people are signing up in droves. Women, as I read last week, are signing up in droves, interestingly. This is a commander-in-chief who has the respect of the rank and file. Democrats loathe that, we know. But more importantly, Democrats always, to Alex's point, the word play is always important. Word association. It's never that they mean it. They're just always trying out and shopping new concepts. President Trump's a racist. President Trump's a bigot. President Trump, very fine people on both sides. It's never true. Whatever it is never true. Slotkin said this weekend on the Sunday shows, well, when pressed, is he giving illegal orders? No. Maybe seems like maybe they could be, but no, I have seen no evidence of it yet. Well, then why say it at all? They know what they're doing. They're just trying anything. They're shopping and sowing and planting the idea that just like, maybe he was illegally keeping papers at Mar-a-Lago, or maybe he raped a woman in a dressing room 30 years ago, or maybe he's a racist. Now maybe he is a fascist or a dictator or telling his military to do illegal things. It hasn't worked. I mean, I mind you that he did win a huge election last year. So I think this game, they'll try something new again. It's just, I don't think it works, though.
All right, guys, if you're looking for that amazing snack, then you got to do what I do right now. I've gotten into Masa Chips, all natural, 3 ingredients. That's right. Corn, seed oil, and salt. That's it. Crunchier, tastier. These are Maha approved snacks. You are not going to regret it. My tip, get the variety pack. Go to Masa, M-A-S-A chips.com, masachips.com/Sean, S-E-A-N, for 25% off. That's masachips.com/Sean. Use code Sean for 25% off. Batya, Maggie Goodlander is a member of Congress from New Hampshire. She previously served in the Navy. And all of these folks, but she was asked, what name something for me, right? And I want to show you how she responded. Take a look.
What illegal orders are you urging troops to refuse, and what do you hope they take away from your message?
Alex, we love this country. We love our Constitution. It is our job as lawmakers, and especially in this moment, to be clear morally, to be clear legally, and simply and clearly stating what the law says, what the Uniform Code of Military Justice says. It's not a crime. It is not treason. It is not sedition. It is our job. And I think it's really important that we do our jobs in this moment.
Huh. So she's just to go back to Alex's point, Batya, if she says something, it's just telling people what the law is. That's not a problem, right? But if the president tells everyone what the penalty for sedition is, that's way over the top, right? Because that's totally different.
This video was disgusting because the entire subtext was Trump is an illegitimate president. It is a disgusting thing to tell the military that in public. I mean, it's horrifying. Now, it was a bit of a troll because they said, well, we were only stating the truth, that they have a responsibility to defy illegal orders. But as you can see from video after video after video, even they don't believe that Trump has done anything illegal. Like, when I first saw the video, I was like, oh, this is great. We're going to finally find out what illegal things Donald Trump has done as president. And it turns out he hasn't done any. He has abided by every single court order, including the patently ridiculous ones that were immediately overturned by higher courts. He still abided by them. So I find this really horrifying. I mean, just disgusting and so unpatriotic, so un-American. I think I totally agree with Alex when I first saw Trump's tweet saying, sedition or whatever he said, punishable by death, that he was pointing out the irony of what they had said about him since January 6th, again and again and again. Like he was sort of mocking this double standard here. But, you can already tell that this kind of was a flop by the way that it's been handled by me. The fact that MSNBC is asking them, kind of had the same response of me. Oh, quickly, tell me, what was the illegal thing he did? Because, we've been trying to find it here. We couldn't, right? So I really think this is totally backfired. But I just, beyond the gloating that this is that their troll failed or whatever, it's really important, I think, to take a minute and talk about just how despicable it is for lawmakers to try to drive a wedge between the commander in chief and the armed forces.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of yet last week when Jasmine Crockett took to the House floor and said a bunch of Republicans took money from Jeffrey Epstein, and CNN, of all places, says, beg your pardon, that's Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, a entirely different guy, to which she says, well, I mean, it was a Jeffrey Epstein. I never said it was the Jeffrey Epstein. They do this all the time.
You know what? By the way, I said this last week, but it's worth repeating. Do you guys remember when George Santos said, he goes, I didn't say I was Jewish. I said I was Jewish. And it's like when they said, she goes, I didn't say the Jeffrey Epstein. I said a Jeffrey Epstein. It's like what was it, Coming to America? They have McDonald's. We have McDonald's. Like they have the Big Mac. Like it's like, is this? But you know what the funny thing is? Dakota Meyer is a Medal of Honor recipient. And I want to just show you guys what Dakota said, or at least part of it, because here's a guy who knows how to follow orders and what happens when you do and don't follow them in combat. Take a listen to him.
We've crossed the line in this country that cannot be ignored. We have sitting U.S. elected officials, including Senator Mark Kelly, now telling troops that they can refuse illegal orders. I mean, it sounds reasonable until you realize no legal order has been given. Everyone knows that. This isn't about the law. This is about planting seeds of doubt. It's a Trojan horse slipped into the minds of the one group of Americans who cannot afford to doubt for even 1 second, our military. I mean, you get our troops questioning their chain of command, questioning their commander-in-chief, questioning the oath that they swore to.
Look, that's what matters, Alex, is that you can't sow doubt.
Yes. I just literally wrote down planting seeds of doubt. That was like the one sound. It's a lengthy video he posted, a couple minutes, and I think that was the key takeaway. And to Batya's point, I mean, that was the goal, was to question the legitimacy of this commander in chief. I mean, you know, it's obvious when even MSNBC is questioning you, that's the takeaway. I don't really know. I think that they thought this was going to be some, viral video, great hit on the left. And it's getting pushback, I think, from both sides, really. I mean, it's kind of like, don't mess with the service members for your political gain. That's political loss at this point. And Chris, I just love that you brought up Jasmine Crockett. That was my favorite video of last week. I just can't get enough of it. It was such a serious interview with CNN. To CNN's credit, at least they said, well, I'm pretty sure you were trying to misrepresent. I'm like,
by the way, for all those folks on the left that don't get why this matters, when Dakota Meyer, again, Medal of Honor recipient, a man who understands what happens if you don't follow orders, he saved a ton of lives, says this, if you are a leftist or folks in the media and you're like, oh, what's the big deal? Understand this, because most of them haven't served, including Alyssa Slotkin. So for them to talk about the uniform code of military justice and not have to actually have ever dealt with it, to me is unbelievably disingenuous. But I want to move, because there's another thing that I saw over the weekend that I want to get to, which again is another one of these words, sleight of hands, that's not going to go reported widely because the mainstream media won't let it happen. Eric Swalwell was on talking about one of his new big plans. And I want to show you guys this because it blew my mind. Take a look.
I want us to be able to vote by phone. I think every Californian vote by phone. Yeah, if we can do our taxes, do our make our healthcare appointments, make essentially do your banking online, you should be able to vote by phone. Make it safe, make it secure, but it's actually already happening all over the United States. I want us to be a blue state that doesn't do just a little bit better than like Georgia or Alabama when it comes to like voting access. I want us to max out democracy. Also, as it relates to democracy, if you wait in line for 30 minutes or more, if you do want to vote in person, I think you should fine every county for every minute that a person has to wait longer. We have to be better, not just a little bit better than the other states. The DMV. I don't think Californians should have to go in person to the DMV anymore. I think we can do that virtually. I think you can have the DMV employees do it virtually, but that's a lot of real estate.
Is that the most popular position?
Digitize the DMV. Digitize the DMV.
Today, yeah.
We can modernize the state, and I look forward to bringing these ideas to Californians.
Chris Stigall, I played that whole quote because there were two things in there that most people, with all due respect, especially in the press, won't get. Digitize the DMV. Guess what? That means you never have to go in. No one actually has to see that you're an actual human being or a U.S. citizen, and then vote by your phone Guess what you do when you connect those two dots? You allow people to vote in this country who've never actually had to confirm their. I mean, no one. When I saw that, I went, "Oh my God!" He just laid out the entire plan in 1 minute on CNN, and it's going to get over the top of the heads of most people.
Yeah, you'll notice that he doesn't talk about things like modernizing the IRS digitally. I'd be all ears if that's what he wanted to talk about. There's lots of things we could do digitally with the government and DOGE that I'm all for, but you're right, to use those particular agencies in Pennsylvania, heaven knows, and many others, unfortunately, you can now, as an illegal, get an identification and you're instantly registered to vote. No matter, everybody that's issued a driver's license is registered to vote. This is a huge, huge problem. The Supreme Court ultimately is going to have to get involved in that, obviously. But yeah, you're exactly right to pick up on it. Linking those two institutions, the DMV and voter registration and voting, that would be, that's the mother lode for these fraudsters.
Batya, the thing is, again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to people, but I don't think that most folks are going to connect the dots here. What he's really saying is, I want to make sure that you get the ability to vote and then no one actually has to see, you can vote on your phone, that we can continue to manipulate this. This is the big plan. It's right in front of our eyes. This is what Democrats are going to do if no one wakes up.
The way that it's about illegals is because low propensity voters are now much more likely to be Republicans, right? The Democrats are now the party of the rich, and rich people vote. Like they make the time to do it. They watch a lot of MSNBC, they're very keyed in. So why are the Democrats now suddenly very worried about low propensity voters? I don't know if it's so much about illegals having the right to vote as it is about them having a driver's license and the right to get a CDL, the right to drive down the wages for working class Americans. I am extremely hawkish on this. Every poll this year has shown that President Trump's mass deportation program is popular with the majority of Americans. It's unbelievably important. This is the hill worth dying on, is the mass deportations, go after the employers. And the ID thing is so important because a lot of these illegals come here and they get a fake ID, and that's how they then circumvent things like E-Verify. So even some employers that are doing everything right are getting kind of swindled. But the idea that you could get an ID without showing up and it being obvious you're not a citizen, you don't speak a word of English, you got here, a year ago through the open border, it's ridiculous.
Alex, this has to just send off legal alarm bells, 5-alarm fire.
Yeah, when I first heard it, I thought maybe he got this idea from his Chinese spy girlfriend thing. I thought it was right out of her playbook. I thought that's must be where he got this. The other aspect is, Batya kind of hit on it. I've had to talk about throughout the year a few examples of these commercial truck driver licenses and the illegals that can't communicate, can't speak in English, that cause fatal accidents. And they're coming from California. I think even in California, I think there's a problem. Can't remember all the research I did, but it has to do with the ability to have a translator when you're taking a driver's test. Are you going to have the translator there on the road with you when you're driving, when you're trying to read signs, when you're trying to communicate with other drivers or an officer? It's very dangerous. And, another idea from Swoyer, he should be more worried about his own legal troubles.
Yeah. But look, I could not believe he said the quiet part out loud. It was mind-boggling to me. Real quick, before we go, this is the last panel we'll do before Thanksgiving. Just give me one sentence, something that you're thankful for this year, Batya.
Oh, God, I'm so freaking grateful to be an American. And beyond that, to be living through this administration, those feelings of if this is exactly what I would be doing if I was the president, we'll never have that again, I don't think. Yeah. And I when I went to vote for the mayoral race, I came out and I was so depressed. And it wasn't just because the choices were horrible. I realized afterwards, when I got home, the reason I'm so depressed is we're never going to get to vote for Trump again. And we're never going to have that feeling again of this is I cannot believe somebody is willing to represent the American people and tell the elites to go screw themselves in such a big and epic way and every day show up and fight. So I'm really this the euphoria hasn't worn off, and I'm just so grateful to be here now.
Right.
And I'm
Chris
so grateful.
Stigall, give me one sentence.
I'm grateful for the ability to freely worship my Lord and Savior.
Alex Swoyer.
Amen. I love that one. I will go with, I know every parent will say this, but my daughter, very thankful for Fiona, especially each and every day. She's on my number one, but especially during the holidays. Isn't it just fun being a parent during the holidays?
Yeah.
That you to see Thanksgiving, to see Christmas through those eyes and the excitement. It's magical.
Yeah,
what about you, Sean?
I got a lot to be thankful for. I agree. Family, God, the supporters of the show, Trump 2.0.
A stellar panel.
That stellar panels. This is awesome. Thank you, guys. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.